All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Well, thank you everyone for joining the Transparency Foundation candidate training class this morning. I know we say we'll take 3 hours, but I hope not to do that. And I think for your sakes, you will also hope I don't do that. So let's go ahead and get started. About the Transparency Foundation. Our mission is that we're a 501c3 nonprofit and nonpartisan organization. We're committed to shining light on public institutions to make them more transparent and accountable to the people they serve. We have done recent programs and reports on schools exposing the curriculum, including CRT, sex ed, DEI. We expose school funding of left wing organizations. We support parent coalitions, and we train reformers to make a difference in school districts and local offices across the state. We also put out a cost of living report every year that shows how much more expensive California is versus the rest of the nation. And you can find that on our website. Our agenda today: what an elected official can do, how to get the right endorsements, messages to run on, deadlines and paperwork, ballot designations, how to run a successful campaign, uh, that your appearance matters, how to fundraise, and how to make a difference once you take office. So let's jump right into it. If you have questions, click raise hand and I'll answer it at the end of the training. So please, if you have questions, take those notes so you don't forget. We're going to start with the basics. What can elected officials do? You can set policy at the district level, at the city council level, and at the state level, you introduce laws and legislation. You can do district policies to prohibit and encourage things. That includes parents' right to know policies. That includes uh, gender neutral, not gender neutral, boys and boys locker rooms, girls and girls locker rooms. If you have a majority board that supports your positions, you can establish policies. But most importantly, you approve the budget. You can choose to fund and not fund things. Districts will not spend any funds on materials that contain the words critical race theory or DEI, or provide funding to organizations that lobby or are involved in politics. You also hire the superintendent if you're on a school board, the city manager on a city council, and the general counsel between both of them. The superintendent and city managers are your day to day CEOs. They are supposed to implement the will and policies of your boards and your city councils and manage the vision of that. A lot of times, though, city councils and members of the public don't think that the superintendents and city managers are acting in the best ways of the public and maybe working towards their own goals and interests. So, if you're a city council member or a school board member, you have the power and the authority to pick those who will support your vision for a city or a school board and how to support the residents who live in it. The general counsel is also key. They are your attorney. They will give you the guidelines and boundaries of things you may or may not be able to do. But when they give you advice, also trust but verify. Sometimes they'll tell you things aren't legal or aren't supportable or aren't doable, but they actually are if you just push hard enough. And then, as an elected official, be a voice for the voiceless. If you don't have the votes to change policy, you can still be the voice of opposition. Even if you're on a school board and you're one of five, you are the eyes and ears and the voice in closed session. When they're making decisions, you can be the one standing up for your position and the position of your constituents. Now, it might not be shared, but things then can't happen in the dark of a boardroom. Getting the right endorsements. Parent coalitions. If you have a parent coalition in your district, you should be talking to them. The folks who know their school districts best and the kids who go to school there are the parents. If there isn't a parent coalition in your district, start one. They can become your initial campaign team and volunteers. If you get the endorsement of the parent coalitions to run, you know you have folks that support your vision. Influential stakeholder groups. Who are the key stakeholder groups? in your district. They can include the Reform California group. They can be Lincoln Club, Associated General Contractors, your police officer associations, your teachers' unions. There's also the political party endorsements, including the Republican Party and Democrat Party. Other endorsements you can go for in your campaigns, newspapers, not so big anymore. A lot of folks don't read the papers, at least in circulation. They're bleeding subscribers and revenue, but it's still an opportunity. Um, then there's the church groups. In San Diego, there's groups like Awaken and The Rock. You have Tim Thompson in Riverside, who has 412 Church. There's different organizations and churches up and down the state, uh, who engage in endorsements. There's also local political and civic groups, neighborhood watches, chambers of commerce, et cetera, et cetera. Key message points to run on. Focus on the 70% issues. Your most important issue might not be the most important issue to the voters in your community, and that's okay. What is the most important issue that folks are looking at today? Cost of living. Cost of living, cost of living. Gas prices are up, utility rates are up, insurance rates and premiums are up or canceled. Cost of living is the top issue today. The way you can run a successful campaign on cost of living is you can oppose local measures on the ballot that make your communities unaffordable for working families. You can also work with stakeholders on creative solutions to fund priorities without raising taxes. It's hard when governments today spend and spend and spend, but there's opportunities to fund priority programs without additional taxes. Addressing homelessness. Homelessness is a huge issue today. Spencer Pratt for mayor made that one of his defining issues. You can talk about the defining issues and root causes of homelessness, accountability for how taxpayer dollars are spent on homeless initiatives. Talk about cots, not condos. Can a government spend $80 on a cot instead of $800,000 on a mobile unit or a cargo house? Keeping our communities safe. Establish a positive working relationship with public safety groups and organizations. Everyone wants safe streets and neighborhoods, but not everyone agrees how to get there. Work with your local POAs and your neighborhood watches on what's important and happening in your neighborhoods. They are your radar system. You're not going to know everything that goes on in every single neighborhood, but they can let you know of problems that you might not know about. And importantly, be responsive and accountable. Voters need to feel listened to. Be sincere on how you'd address their concerns. And if you can't do it by yourself, how you'll work with others to address their issues. Voters and constituents can smell a liar, a charlatan, a fraud a mile away. You have to be honest and forthright with them, or they won't believe you going forward and they won't support you going forward. More message points. If you're running for school board, improving academics for our kids, get back to basics. A lot of folks today feel certain school boards are engaged in things that don't involve academics, and bringing it back to academic achievement. Leave the political agendas to the side. Requiring letter grades and testing for accountability. In San Diego County, a couple years back, a high school wanted to get rid of honors classes and graded letters and standardized testing. But we need grades to hold students and the bureaucracy accountable and make sure they're learning and achieving their academic standards. Now, as you talk about accountability and the bureaucracy, we don't talk about teachers. Teachers are like your congressman. Now, most folks like their congressmen and they like their teachers. They don't think teachers are the problem, and teachers aren't the problem. The bureaucracy and state mandates and local mandates, force them to do a lot of things that they might not necessarily otherwise do. Keeping our schools safe, ensuring a school safety plan is in place. There's a lot of efforts today to remove school resource officers from campus, to stop making campuses more secure, but ensuring our kids are safe is paramount. And then you can know how long I've been running these programs when you see on selective audiences, masks and vaccines. That we've been running this program since COVID. But these are also for selective audiences. Not everyone in your community is going to agree on these issues, but there are folks who will. And that includes removing sex ed curriculum, race theory, DEI, divisive political agendas, masks, and vaccines. There will be folks who agree with you on these issues, but there will also be folks who don't. And for a lot of folks, these are not 70% issues. This is going to be the most boring and most important part of running a campaign, and that is the filing deadlines and paperwork. The filing period starts July 13th and closes August 7th. If an incumbent doesn't run for re-election, that's extended to August 14th. The forms you have to file include a Form 700. It's called a Statement of Economic Interest. It'll be the easiest and hardest form you'll fill out. If you're someone like me who is married with a kid but doesn't have a business and is a renter, your form is going to be very short. But if you're a business owner, have multiple stocks, rental properties, you're going to be filling out pages and pages of forms to make sure that you're publicly disclosing potential conflicts of economic interest. And then your county registrars will have declaration of candidacy forms for you to fill out. They're typically anywhere between 1 and 5 pages, depending on your county. Your candidate statement. It's not required to file a candidate statement, and it can be cost prohibitive. If you're a statewide candidate or a state legislative candidate, they can run from the single-digit thousands of dollars to tens of thousands of dollars. Running for city council, it might be a couple $100, but it also might be the one thing that a voter sees about you. So it's up to you and your campaign and your team to determine if that is something that you should spend resources on. It has a 250 word limit. It cannot mention your opponent, and it's available for public review after filing closes. Campaign accounting reports. Most candidates will not raise or spend more than $2,000, and that limits the amount and complexity of campaign reports. You'll have to file what's called a short form. It's 1 page, and you call it a day. But if you do plan to raise and spend more than $2,000, you'll need to find an established political treasurer to help you with filing those papers correctly. Doing it incorrectly or late can lead to fines and penalties, and some of those fines and penalties accrue daily. You might find 3 months later you have a $600 or $1,000 bill for fines and fees for not filing a simple form. And this is important because a lot of folks, in regards to the mayor's race, were disappointed that Spencer Pratt didn't make it through and said, well, I'm just going to write in his name. Well, you may be able to write in his name, but it's not going to count. Write-ins may only file after the official filing period closes. If you do file for a write-in campaign, you have to qualify with your county registrar. If you just say today, I want to be on the ballot and I want people to vote for me, and they fill in your name and you haven't done a single thing with your county registrar, those votes for you are not going to count. Write-in candidates may not previously have been on the ballot as an official candidate for another office that year. So if you were a third place candidate for assembly in District 1, you can no longer be a write-in candidate for Assembly District 1 or Assembly District 3 or whatever race that you are an official candidate for. Ballot designation rules and tips. What is a ballot designation? It's a 3-word description of your current job or job you've held in the last year. If you don't do a ballot statement, this will be the other one thing that they see about you. It might be the only thing they see about you. It may be more than 3 words if you're an incumbent using the title of your office. Doesn't seem fair, but those are the rules we live under. What is not allowed in a ballot designation? Words that include political parties, racial or religious groups, and brand names. I cannot be Jordan, candidate for city council, Christian Republican for Coca-Cola. You can't use any of those words. Now I have here retired is not permissible if it's been more than a year since you've retired. Retired is a really tight word with county registrars. Um, 9 times out of 10, it will be challenged and you won't be able to use it. There's been some flexibility with some county registrars with what you are retired from, and that's specifically in regards to the armed services. But 9 times out of 10, a retired teacher, retired firefighter, retired business owner is going to be challenged by another candidate or a citizen or the registrar of voters. So, when in doubt, typically retired is not going to be accepted. Ballot designation worksheet. You're going to get a total of 3 potential designations you can select. Use all 3. You're going to be required to justify your designation in writing and list people to contact in support of your designation. So if you say you're a business owner, you're going to have to put the name of an employee, business partner, someone you work with that the registrar can contact and confirm you're a business owner. I cannot just say I'm an astronaut and then have no supporting justification for it. Challenging designations. Designations can be challenged by anyone. Candidates have been taken to court over them. If you have your designation challenged, work with the registrar on an acceptable alternative among your selections. This is why it's important to have all 3. Candidates I've seen have been challenged on one, so the other 2 have been an alternative. I've seen a candidate go to court. All 3 have been determined to be non-acceptable, and a judge has given them a designation themselves. So it's important that you really lock in and on your ballot designation that can be justifiable. And the ways to justify it can include a business license, a career license. If you're an author of a book, book sales or a copy of your book. These are all things that can be used to justify your designation. What makes a good designation? Creativity makes for excellent designations. Now, this might seem in conflict with what I just said about challenging designations. But if you're a member of a taxpayer association, you might just be a taxpayer advocate. When in doubt, ask for help, whether that's from your county parties, people you trust, other elected officials. If you're a mechanic, a fitting designation might be a vehicle support specialist. Think outside the box, but make sure you can justify it. Don't get too cute. Running a successful campaign. Raise money, don't spend. If you have $2,000 to raise and spend for your school board race, you don't want to spend that on consultants, and you have no money by the time ballots drop. You don't want to spend it on a card you're handing out at a street fair if no one sees it or has it when their ballot's in their hand. So, what are some of the basic things you can or you should spend money on, and how to get people to contact you? Build your website. Get some business cards. Spend $50 at Vistaprint or FedEx, and hand those out at street fairs. Maybe a door hanger, or use the door hanger of a group that's endorsing you. Police officer associations, county parties, interest groups, they all typically have their own door hangers. And if you're an endorsed candidate, you might be on it. Now, it's not going to typically feature just you or just your face as the main candidate, but you'll be running as a team and you'll be part of that team. Get on influential voter guides. Most slate mailers are junk and worthless. So let's talk about that for a minute. Slate mail can be, and we saw this in the primary, COPS voter guide. It has a big flashing siren on it. The rules of slate mail today are that if you are a candidate and you want to buy onto a slate mailer, you have the opportunity to do so. So if you are a tax fighter, you can buy onto a slate that is Progressive Democrats for Taxation. If you're a Democrat, you can buy onto a Protect Prop 13 slate mailer. There's a lot of junk, fake, schemy slate mail pieces that candidates buy onto. But inquire with bona fide influential groups. That includes Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association, your POAs, your Reform Californias, your church groups, your political parties. Those are bona fide influential groups with legit voter guides. As a candidate, walking, calling. These are the most important things you can do as a candidate. Canvassing by you door to door is very effective. They will remember that the candidate themselves came to their door. Phone calls are not as effective, but you can pump out more volume. And in places, if you live in Alturas or Inyo, you might not be able to walk door to door. It might be 5 miles in between properties, and it's not effective. Phone calls are your solution to that. What to do once ballots mail? That includes text messages to voters. I'm endorsed by, San Diego POA. I'm your public safety champion. Uh, Good ideas to collaborate with other candidates and groups on how to pay for it. Uh, Maybe doing lawn signs. If you've taken my training before, you know how much I love lawn signs. They always win elections. I am being incredibly sarcastic. But your supporters love them. And your supporters will be the first people that come to you and say, I see your opponent's sign everywhere. I don't see yours. You're not doing enough. Never fund signs first. If you have extra money, do that later. They're very low value. And if you're looking to do a larger campaign, unless you have a lot of money to spend, you don't need to do anything besides these fundamentals. Anything more above that isn't really helpful. Consider your top endorsers and your friends, family, and team for advice on some of this stuff. Now, this is going to seem strange that I have this slide, but appearance matters as a candidate. You need to dress to impress. You don't have to wear a suit everywhere you go, but every interaction is an interview. Dress like it. Do not dress like a meth head in front of a grocery store. Smell good. Strange again, but don't go from the gym to a street fair. Don't have the one thing a voter remembers about you be your smell. Wear comfortable shoes. When you're door knocking or working a street fair, the right kind of shoes can make or break your experience. I do not recommend walking 200 doors in summer in Fresno in dress shoes. How to table. Voters won't engage your table if it's a disorganized mess or doesn't have anything to catch their eye. And your materials. Don't use photos of you from the family group shot and crop everybody out. Take the time to take good photos. Doesn't mean you have to get a professional photographer or a fancy camera. iPhones are great today, they take great photos. But your appearance matters. If they don't read anything about you, if they don't see anything about you or hear anything about you, but they meet you, that's going to be the one thing they take away is how you looked, how you acted, how you smelled. Fundraising 101. Setting up your committee and treasurer. If you decide to raise funds, you need to do it right and have a treasurer fill out the proper forms. You can consider joint fundraising committees across candidates to save money and do things as a team. San Diego County has previously had the La Mesa team and the Carlsbad team, and it's been 3 council members, a mayor, 2 school board candidates, and a water board member. Find candidates in your area that share territory and overlap, and you now have a team that can fundraise together as a team and distribute costs. Your Christmas card list. Call, email, and follow up. Don't be afraid to ask. The folks you know, they believe in you. Now, they might not be able to give you a $5,900 check, but your neighbor Joe next door might be able to give you $100. And 10 people giving you $100 is now $1,000 you can spend to send out text messages, to buy yard signs, to do your business cards or door hanger. Don't be afraid to ask for money. And in today's busy world, one phone call, one email, one text message isn't enough. They're not going to probably have seen it or heard it or read it. You need to be persistent, be annoying. Keep asking them until they say no. When you do make the ask, tie it specific to a project or a task. Joe, can you help? Can you contribute $1,000 so I can fund my text messages? I know times are tough and $1,000 is a little high. Can you do $500? Keep asking down from the top until they say no. And then stakeholder groups, ask them for direct contributions. They're invested in you as a candidate, and they have the resources to support you. and ask for advice from them on who else they can get to contribute. Same thing for parent coalition members: call, email, follow up. Partisan donors: get a list from local groups who support you and your county party. And I'm going to reemphasize, never just call, email, or text once. Follow up multiple times. Collaborate with other candidates. Identify shared expenses and suggest a joint fundraiser. And that's not just necessarily a joint fundraiser to raise money, but a joint committee to raise funds together, as I said before. But collaborate with a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. You might be underneath a competitive congressional seat, state senate seat, state assembly seat, mayoral seat, and all those voters are going to support you potentially as a team if you work together and those voters know that you all support each other. Now, taking office and making a difference. Setting your priorities is important. You can't be all things to all people. Set 3 priorities in the first year and focus. If you try and do 500 things, you won't accomplish one of them. But you also can't be all things to all people, as I said. Keep it to those 70% issues that we talked about before and the issues that your community most cares about. And remember that that issue might not be the one that you most care about. Cautions on briefings by staff. Do not always trust the staff. They have agendas. Question everything until you see proof or after you've worked with someone for a year and feel that they're reliable and trustworthy. They're not bad people. They might just have different opinions and views on how things should be run compared to you. But you're the elected official. You're the one on the dais. You're the one on the chair. And you're the one who's been elected by the voters. It's up to the staff's job to implement your direction as a board and as a city council, as a legislator. Consult outside experts. Don't be afraid to ask outside groups for help. That's why they're there. California Policy Center is one group that supports school board members. There's the California School Board Association, California League of Cities. There's different groups out there who will support and train you as elected officials to do your job more effectively. And then build your public support. Your biggest and best role is to be with parents and community members and ask them for input and advice. What are they hearing? What are they upset about? You might not know of every problem in every neighborhood, or say you're not going to know every problem in every neighborhood. But that voter is going to appreciate if you listen to them and get that street light fixed, that pothole filled, that stop sign installed. They're going to say, no one's listened to me for 5 years. The street's dangerous. You're the only one who's done something about it. That's valuable to both your community, your neighborhood, and your role as a public official. And then educate the public on what's going on. Don't count on the media to do that for you. Again, if you're a minority on a board, you're 1, 4, 2, 3. You are the voice, the eyes, and the ears in that closed session. You are the voice of the voiceless, and it's your job to tell people what's going on. Now, in regards to closed session, you can't reveal what goes on in closed session without legal repercussions. But you can be the one in the room during closed session pushing back on some of the stuff that you think isn't good for your community and your constituents. All right. Thank you, folks. We'll see you for the next one. Appreciate you joining.